Friends, let's discuss the second part of our accounting principles. First part we had discussed in the form of accounting assumptions, second part in the form of concept, and third part we'll discuss in the form of conventions. But before we discuss concept and conventions, we need to distinguish between these terms. What do we mean by concept and what do we mean by conventions? Concepts are the logic behind a particular situation, logic behind a particular term, and conventions are the traditions, customs, uses of the trade, routine of the trade. Those are called as conventions. And I'll explain it with the help of a beautiful example. Suppose a sister ties Rakhi on the right hand of a brother. Tying a Rakhi on the right hand brother has become a convention, has become a tradition, has become a custom. Because others are tying the Rakhi on the right hand, that's why we are also tying the Rakhi on the right hand. So because it has become a tradition, it has become a custom. But what is the logic behind it? Why do we tie the Rakhi on the right hand of a brother? Logic is that right hand is considered as the most powerful part of the body in order to protect one's sister from the odd situations in the life. Logic, powerful part of the body, so that the right hand may remind the brother that with this hand I am to protect my sister. So logic behind is the concept, and with the practice, with the passage of time, the convention, the tradition, the custom which we follow, those are called as conventions. In our accountancy, there are other conventions also. I give you just two examples about which you may not be aware of at this particular situation. Just for the sake of discussing my point, I want to take up those examples. When we pass the journal entries in the journal, we pass the entry rent account debit to cash account. We don't use the word credit. We use the word to. This too is a convention. When we prepare the ledger accounts, machinery account, building account, furniture account, etc. On the debit side we write to. On the credit side we write by. What is this? This is convention. This is tradition. Because Britishers ruled us for so many years. They were following this tradition, and on that basis now we are also following the same tradition. But if you see the books of American authors, there you will not find to and by. You will not find to and by. Rent account debit, cash account credit. And here again, to and by is not written in the American books. This is a tradition followed in Britain, is a tradition followed in India, but not in America. So we have to go with certain traditions along with concepts. Now let's discuss the concepts one by one. First is the business entity concept. Business entity concept says that we have to distinguish the business from businessman. Business is a separate thing, businessman is a separate thing. No doubt, the business belongs to the businessman, but from accounting point of view, we separate them. That business is a separate entity, businessman is a separate entity. Whatsoever the things we are to record, we are to record from business point of view. We are to treat ourselves as a business. Expenses of business, incomes of business, those are to be recorded in our profit and loss account. but not the expenses of businessman. If any expense is incurred by the businessman for his personal purposes, that expense will not be recorded in the profit and loss account of the business, because business is a separate identity, businessman is a separate identity. For example, we paid rent of the building for the business. This rent will be treated as expense in profit and loss account. But if the same rent of the building is paid for the residence of proprietor, where proprietor resides, this is not the business expense, this is the personal expense. This is not called as rent, this is called as drawings. It will not be recorded in profit and loss account. Only and only expenses and incomes of business are to be recorded in our profit and loss account, not that of businessman. So identity of business is different, identity of businessman is different. So let me give you one more example. If a businessman has contributed rupees 40 lakh into the business, he has contributed rupees 40 lakh into the business. Question is whether this cash or bank balance is coming or going. It is coming into the business, but this money is going from the businessman into the business. We are to record the transactions on the basis of the rules, and those rules suggest that we are to record the transaction on the basis of whether it is coming or it is going. But when we are to apply the rules, we will treat this money coming into the business, not going, because we are not to treat from businessman point of view, we are to treat from business point of view. So this concept is the business entity concept. We are to record everything from business point of view. Money measurement concept. This point we had discussed in the definition of bookkeeping also. That 4 machines, 3 buildings, 5 computers, these will not be recorded in the books of accounts. First, they are to be converted into monetary terms. Depending upon the currency of the country, these will be converted into monetary terms. These 4 machines are worth rupees 4 lakh, 3 buildings worth rupees 30 lakh, 5 computers worth rupees 1,50,000. So these values will be recorded. Machinery 4 lakh, buildings 30 lakh, computers 1,50,000. When we prepare the accounts, machinery count, building count, computer count, you will not find their number. How many machineries are there, how many buildings are there, how many computers are there, but you will find the values only in the books of accounts. So before recording any transaction, we have to measure them into monetary terms, and then only we are to record, otherwise we are not to record it. Third is dual aspect concept. Dual means double. Every transaction in our system will be recorded at 2 places. One debit, one credit. Debit is the left hand side of the account and credit is the right hand side of the account. In one account it will be debited and in the other account it will be credited. For example, rent paid in cash. It will be debited in the rent account. Why debited? I will let you know. It will be debited in the rent account and it will be credited in the cash account. It will be debited in the rent account and credited in the cash account. Every transaction is to be recorded at 2 places. That is called as dual aspect. and this because of this dual aspects are double entry system. A double entry system was invented, and this system was brought into picture in his book by Luca Pacioli. Luca Pacioli in 1494. Luca Pacioli is a mathematician, an Italian mathematician. He wrote a book on mathematics in the year 1494, and there was one chapter in that mathematic books on double entry system, and that system became so popular that word over now this system is followed. Double entry system is followed word over. So double entry means debit and credit. Every transaction will be recorded at two places, debit side, credit side. In one account on the debit side, in the other account on the credit side. So this is our dual aspect concept. Then is cost concept. When we talk of cost concept, it is historical cost. Cost here means historical cost, and historical cost is the cost incurred. Cost incurred to acquire, to purchase the particular asset. Suppose a piece of land was purchased from the business for rupees 10 lakh. This cost of 10 lakh is called as historical cost because we incurred rupees 10 lakh to acquire this piece of land for rupees 10 lakh. So this is called as historical cost. Now what this concept says, from accounting point of view, it suggests that all the fixed assets, all the non-current assets will be recorded either at cost or at their book value only. There are two types of non-current assets: depreciable and non-depreciable. Depreciable means upon which depreciation is provided, and non-depreciable means on which depreciation is not provided. Depreciable assets are building, machinery, computers, vehicles, furniture, etc. And non-depreciable assets are land, investment in the form of shares, debenture, bonds, mutual funds, etc. If we buy the shares, debenture, bond, those are called as investment. These are non-depreciable assets. These will be shown at cost in the books of accounts. And these assets, cost minus depreciation, if any, that is called as book value. Those will be shown at book value. So depreciable assets will be shown at book value, and non-depreciable assets will be shown at cost. Shown at cost, not at their market value. Not at their market value. This is important here. Value of the building as per the books may be 40 lakh. Market value may be say 70 lakh. 70 lakh. This concept suggests that we are to record at historical cost. Cost incurred minus depreciation, if any, not at the market value, because these assets are not meant for sale. And if you are not to go to America, why to ask the address or the location of the streets and the bazaars of America. When these assets are not meant for sale, why to see its market value? When we have purchased these assets, we have purchased for usage, not for sale purpose. If we are not to sell these assets, why to see their market value then? So market value will be irrelevant to us in the question. So if we are given the value of the machinery, book value or the cost, at that value we record market value if given in the question, that will be irrelevant for us. This is the accounting guideline. This is accounting guideline. Then matching concept. Matching concept suggests that our expenses should be matched with the incomes in such a way that if we have recorded a particular income in a particular year, any expense or loss related to that must be recorded in the same year. For example, we sold goods on credit for rupees 40 lakh in the year 2019-20. Goods sold on credit. This is the income, this is the revenue. So this is the revenue of the year 2019-20. All expenses relating to that, whether the goods purchased which we had sold, those will be recorded in the same year, whether the selling expenses or even any loss which has occurred, and more important is, it is likely to occur in future. Likely to occur in future. Because of this sale, we have to estimate that loss in advance, because it is the result of the sale of the year 2019 and 20. For example, we sold the goods on credit for 40 lakh, of which 40,000 rupees became bad, called as bad debts, unable to recover this money. But we came to know in the year 2021-22 only, 2 years after the sale, when we had lost the hope of recovering this money, this is a bad debt. But our accounting suggests that this type of loss you must estimate in advance on the basis of your past experience. If you feel that every year 1% of the goods sold is a bad debt, then on the basis of 40 lakh you have to estimate that 1% of 40 lakh, 40,000 will become bad sooner or later. That you have to forecast, and you have to write as a loss or expense in the year 2019-20. Because the income was written in the year 1920, any expense or loss related to that occurred or likely to occur in future must be recorded in the same year. This is our matching concept. We are matching expenses with the income. This is the result of this particular sale. That is why it is being recorded in the same year. And matching concept also suggests that if we have recorded our expenses for 12 months, we have to record the income for 12 months. This is again a matching. And in accrual system, it is a proper matching. In cash system, matching is not there. So cash system and accrual system, and we discuss, we will come to know that in cash system, expenses of 8 months, income may be of 11 months. This is not a proper matching. But in the accrual system of our accounting, there is a proper matching of expenses for 12 months, income for 12 months. So this is our matching concept. We have to match our expenses with our income. Now accounting period concept. Accounting period concept is that our business is a going concern, not a gone concern. Don't know for how many years this will continue. 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, generation, don't know till what time this will continue. We have to stop somewhere to measure our performance. We can't wait for the business to wind up or business to wound up. Then we have to measure the performance. We have to stop somewhere. And 1 year period is adopted as the accounting period. Even income tax authorities, they recognize 1 year period as the accounting period. And normally these days in India, our accounts are prepared from 1st of April to 31st March. This is the accounting period normally we follow. But there is no prohibition as far as accounting is concerned. I am not talking from income tax point of view. I am talking from accounting point of view. Accounting point of view is different. Income tax point of view is different. From accounting point of view, you may prepare your accounts from April 1st to 31st March or on calendar year basis from January 1st up to December 31st. Because 12 months period is to be taken. So that is your choice. But for income tax purpose, the accounting period in India is April 1st up to March 31st next year. So 1 year period is considered in order to measure our performance, in order to measure our profitability. We prepare profit and loss count of 1 year. Balance sheet at the end of every year, every 1 year, not after every 2 years. After every 1 year, we prepare balance sheet in order to measure the financial position. So at different time periods, we measure our performance. And then there is revenue recognition concept. When the revenue here means income, at what time the revenue must be recognized. For example, order was placed in January 2020. Goods received in February, while payment made in March 2020. Question arises, revenue when to record? When goods were received or when payment was made? Here cash has gone in the month of March, but goods were received in the month of February and order we had placed in the month of January. As far as placing an order is concerned, this is not a business transaction. Placing an order is not a business transaction. When it is not a business transaction, there is no question of its recording in the books of account. So this possibility is wiped out. We are left with the two possibilities. Goods received in February while payment was made in the month of March. Our accrual concept, accrual assumption suggests that the revenue or the income of the other person and expense for us will be recorded in the month when goods are received. Entry for the purchase of goods. We will pass the entry for the purchase of goods in the month of February, while the other person will pass the entry for the sale in the month of February. No doubt, we will record will record the payment in the month of March also. When we pay the money, we will record it. But expense will be treated. Expense will be treated in the month of February. In the month of February. And the other person will record the income in the month of February, not in the income, not in the month of March. So this is our revenue recognition. When to recognize? Suppose it is a cash basis. If it is a cash basis, then it will be recorded in the month of March, not in the month of February. But because majority of the organizations in India, those are following the accrual assumption, accrual concept, and if nothing is specified in the question, we assume it to be accrual. If it is accrual, then the revenue is recognized. Revenue is recurring also. So recurring as well as income. So that is recognized in the month of February, not in the month of March. So this was all about the accounting principles under the heading concepts. If you have understood anything out of this, I request you to like this video, and if you have not subscribed so far, I request you to subscribe it also. Thank you.